Hello, everybody. It's Royce here, and I want to welcome you all to my Royce in the House YouTube channel. I want to introduce my co-host tonight. Next to me, adjacent to me, is the one and only Michael Nolan, the Bottom Line. Fastest growing show I've ever seen. And check him out, folks. He's got a great show. He does an excellent job, and he puts out a constant stream of really good content. I catch everything I can. Directly below Michael is Novice Nick, another regular member of our cast. Very, very knowledgeable. I mean, Nick, how many albums have you got, Nick?
Just over 2K.
Just over two. I thought that was just your Zeppelin, group.
If I like a band, I have a few of them.
Right.
The Doors took that over, yeah.
Yeah, and Novice.
You have 2,000 albums.
2,000 albums.
Yeah.
I was just telling Royce before you guys got up.
I
just got my 99th album.
It's 1,926.
Wow. Yeah, no,
but I have a couple in the mail.
I'm catching up with you, boy.
Okay, well, next to Novice Nick on the bottom row here is Chris Elliott, super knowledgeable on music. He's very well studied, and he's really a great participant on the panel here. So really appreciate you, brother. So anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about the Who, the rock band The Who, okay? And there's so much to say. This band's been around for so long. Over 50 years, they've been one of the most creative, dynamic, popular, constantly interesting bands to emerge from the British in the 60s, okay? The English rock band formed in London in 1964. Their lineup from 64, let's say, to 78 consisted of lead vocalist Roger Daltrey, lead guitarist Pete Townshend, bassist John Entwistle, and the amazing drummer Keith Moon. Now, every time I see a list of the best drummers of all time, there's always four names that show up: Keith Moon, John Bonham, Neil Peart, and Ginger Baker, and not necessarily in that order. They'll switch around a little bit. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I actually would like to hear from you. I will always put John Bonham at the very top. I can't help myself. After that, it would probably be Keith Moon, Ginger Baker, and then Neil Peart. How would you rank them, Michael?
Neil Peart wouldn't be in my top 5, first of all, but he'd be in my top 10. John Bonham, number 1. Keith Moon, absolutely. Number 2, who was Baker would probably be about number 5 for me.
Would he be that low? Okay.
Yeah.
You know
that
what
low? Okay, because we're going to be talking about this a couple of times tonight.
No, I know.
Okay, so that low, the top 50 drummers in rock and roll will blow your freaking mind if you saw them drum live. You'd go, how can he do that? So Ginger Baker isn't ranked very low, and neither is Neil Peart. If they're in my top 10, Royce, they're damn good drummers.
I'm sure, Michael. Yeah, I mean,
Neil Peart is one of my favorite lyricists, by the way, too.
So, no, okay. Well,
I don't see him as just a drummer.
Is from a very early age. I'm a teenager. I'm 15, 16 years old. Ginger Baker was the man. There was no other rock drummer being talked about then. It was Ginger freaking Baker. He was the man. Yeah. So anyway,
and most of my friends would have agreed with you, Royce. That was the scuttlebutt around the neighborhood, I think, in general back in the day, don't you think? Ginger Baker.
Totally.
Ginger Baker was like number 3, if not number 2, depending on whose list. Because you did have a lot of John Bonham haters back in those days. Oh, he's not as good as you say he is. I had a lot of people like that. So you'd see Keith Moon number 1, Ginger Baker number 2, then John Bonham.
We have somebody wanting to join us. Is anybody familiar with Junebug Films?
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, well, we're gonna.
We got to be careful. And Junebug Films. Sorry to do this to you, but we've had problems with trolls on the channel. We're not about ready to deal with them tonight. I'm not. You don't want me if you're trolling. Not tonight. I'm not in the mood for it.
Well, nobody's ever in the mood for trolling.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me. Okay, so
I'm sorry if you're legit and we just don't know you. That's my apology to you, but we've had some real problems, and we don't want to go there.
I just listed the names of the members of the Who, the classic lineup from 64 to 78. Okay, there were some changes.
The only
obviously.
lineup.
The only lineup. I agree with that 100%. That's the only lineup. Keith Moon leaving was the same as John Bonham leaving. It's just not the same band. Yeah. Although I have been waiting for my 3-album set of Celebration Day, and I've already paid for it in advance at Merch Bar and haven't gotten it yet. And I haven't paid for it in advance, but I'm on the wait list at Tower Records to be notified as soon as they get
Good
it.
luck with that. I had an album ordered for you and for me on Merch Bar. That was the 50th anniversary of Bridge of Sighs by Robin Trower, and never, ever could hear back from them. I'd send things. They'd send these out over. Horrible company.
I've asked for
Merch Bar.
money
Don't
back
do
already.
business with Merch Bar, folks. They suck.
I've asked for a refund. I told them I want my money back.
Well, I think I'm heading for that too. We were talking about that today.
It's ridiculous.
I paid for it like 5 or 6 months ago in advance.
Yeah.
And every time I go back and research what's going on with it, they say that they haven't started producing them yet. So and Merch Bar, I think, is a big company. It's always the first one that kind of rolls over. So that means it's got some traffic, or at least it's got some deep pockets and pays for that early rollover. But
I'm sure it's got deep pockets with other people's money.
Yeah, but I've had nothing but I've had 2 bad experiences with them, and I don't usually give, when I order albums and music and musical equipment or equipment for, the channel, you don't get a strike 3 with me. 2 bad experiences is bad enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey guys, just for a minute. Let's get back. Let's finish the conversation about the drummers for right now.
Yeah.
We can get back to that again too. But right behind the 4 that I mentioned, there's always Ringo Starr in one of the next 2 behind 4, and one that I've kind of gotten excited about because I always thought he was way underrated, and that's Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. He's showing up now around 6 or 7, and I'm really happy to see that because he deserves it. Imagine keeping up with Jimi Hendrix.
He's top 10. He's top 10 for me at least.
Buddy Rich. Art Blakey.
Gene Krupa, if you're going to go that far back, Nick.
Oh, Gene Krupa.
The drummers, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Those are
Gene Krupa can give John Bonham a run for his money, baby.
And Buddy Rich might possibly beat him if that
Buddy Rich. Yep. But if you're going to go outside of rock and roll, there's some very serious contenders for the number 1 spot.
We said drummers. We didn't. Nobody said rock drummers.
Right.
I know it was insinuated, but
yeah.
Okay.
No, you caught me. I meant rock, but I insinuated.
Okay. Let me go on here a little bit. Okay.
Let me throw my 5 in.
Among the contributions that the Who made to rock overall, what they did was they developed the Marshall stacks, the same stacks that you always stacked behind Hendrix, double Marshall amplifier with the head on top. So they developed the Marshall stacks. They developed much better. Let's see. Public address systems. They developed big public address systems that could handle the big stadiums and stuff like that. So that's pretty impressive. The Marshall stacks and the PA systems.
And Townshend was a tone chaser. I don't consider him a great lead guitarist, a great songwriter, an vocalist. and rock's best, what I would consider rhythm guitarist.
Yeah,
Watch some of their live stuff. Listen to it. Those Marshall stacks were beasts to tame as far as tone.
Totally.
And he had that tone.
Imagine a wall of those growling at you, because
well, that's every guitarist's wet dream, Royce.
Their tube amps are distorting,
Yep,
Okay, so so they use the synthesizers a lot, and plus Entwistle and Moon's influential playing styles, Townshend's feedback, his power chord guitar technique, and the development of the rock opera. These are all credited to the Who. Okay, bands with artists such as Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Queen have all noted the influence the Who had on their own music, with Hendrix in particular visiting the Marshall Music Shop in London to specifically demand an amp setup like Townshend's. I thought that was pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Oh no, that I said it before. The only reason I never owned a Marshall stack is at any particular time in my life I couldn't afford one.
Oh, they weren't giving them away.
No, they weren't. Those were very expensive amps.
Yeah, they were very expensive. They growl. They sound so good too.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Jim Marshall did a great job with the electronics, the whole setup.
Right. Well, that's why
he developed the fisticuffs amongst band members too.
Yes, they did.
Right.
Yes, they did, Nick.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Just we were talking earlier beforehand, just to fill in a little bit of some more information around the Who. Is it already if I mentioned that the real beginning of the Who, before they started recording, was in 1962 when John Entwistle and Townshend joined Roger Daltrey with drummer Doug Sandham.
With the Detours, yeah.
Yeah, they were called the Detours. And then they became the Who for a while, and then they became the High Numbers to do a recording. And when they were doing the high number recording, Roger Daltrey was actually the lead guitar player at the time and singer.
I couldn't believe it when you brought that up before the show,
that's really
Chris.
So
that blew my mind.
He was actually from the beginning a rhythm guitar player.
Well, it was actually Roger Daltrey. Roger Daltrey formed the Detours in 1959.
59.
Right?
Oh, so those guys
59. And then that's right. And then Entwistle joins the Detours on bass in 62. Yeah. Townsend joins on guitar in 63. Then the band plays in Chicago and is inspired by the blues in Chicago around 63. Then in 64, they changed their name to The Who and played in London's Soho district.
But they only changed their name to The Who because they had recorded as the High Numbers and they couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that part. That's a great story.
But when they became The Who, they were the High Numbers, and then the original drummer, Doug Sandham, left, and then Keith Moon joined him in 1964, and then everything took off from there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, then all right. Then Moon, at that point, Moon wasn't in the band, but in early 64, Moon replaces Sandham on drums.
Okay, sorry.
Roger Daltrey on vocals, Pete Townshend on guitar, and John Entwistle, of course, on bass. So anyway, that's a pretty interesting.
Another point, Royce, when you mentioned, their rhythm section earlier, you mentioned how great Keith Moon was. I want to make it clear right here and now.
Sure.
John Entwistle was every bit as good a bassist as Keith Moon was a drummer. And he is my...
no, that's right. That's right.
He's in my top 3 bassists of all time, and so is Keith Moon as the drummer. They were equals. That's why I always say what we were talking about before we got on the show is I don't recognize an incarnation of The Who without Daltrey, Moon, Entwistle, and Townsend.
Right.
So all the albums after Kenny Jones Be Damned are not true Who albums. So my whole point of view tonight, folks, will be coming from that point of view. And the reason is, and I think the panel kind of agreed with me pre-show, is that there are some bands, and Nick will bring this up even further. There are some bands that are defined by their very members, and you can't fool with them.
Right. Hey, guys.
And the Who is one of those.
Tying into what we're talking about, look at Eric Schultz's comment, and I read the same thing. Roger Daltrey saw John Entwistle walking down the street with a huge bass guitar and had to introduce himself. Doesn't that just kill you? Stories like that. It does me.
Man.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, all right. So
now, Nick, maybe you would bring that up further, because you had a good point on why certain bands like Led Zeppelin, no Bonham, no Led Zeppelin, no Ringo, no Beatles, no Moon, no Who, and you had this great theory, and I concur with this. Let everybody know why certain bands, as opposed to like bands like Yes, who change members like they change socks. Right?
Yes.
I love this whole thing.
Some bands, as fans, we give them the opportunity, some bands, to change as they go, and that's part of their normal flow. They started off like that, and they continued on like that. But some of the great legends, it starts on this date with these people, and it ends on this date with the death of any particular member, and that's it. Like Led Zeppelin isn't 3 plus another person, or it just, the Beatles aren't 3 plus another person. No. As the switches in, we don't allow that as fans, but other bands we do allow. Like Yes, they mix and match, and it's a continuous flow of different people coming in, adding and moving on, or someone else in the band moving. We allow that as fans with some bands, and yet we are stubborn as heck when it comes to other particular bands. Yes.
Right.
It's just, we have no mercy sometimes.
And that's where the fun of the debate happens, is when that happens with the fans. But I just love the way that Nick brought that out. It's in the power of the fans to decide which of those kind of bands are like that, it's which are acceptable. Pete, if I'm correct, and the Who truly died with Moon, even though Entwistle went on to play with them, and they still called themselves the Who. I didn't recognize that, even with 3 of them. So, but if I'm correct, if you guys agree with me that was the real Who. And if not, think of a band that you would agree with losing one member as killing that band. Then you've got to ask yourself, what bands deserve that kind of, what is it, iconography? Or I'm using the wrong word. They're iconic. They become iconic.
That's exactly right.
Those are on the pedestal.
Right, exactly. And so that would be a question to the peanut gallery tonight. What bands, and I better not see Foreigner from any of you. All right. All right.
What bands would you consider so iconic that loss of any of them is no longer that band? And what bands would you say are still the same band in their original, not original members, but original ideas, or growing from the original ideas?
Well,
mentioned, Yes.
Nick, you know what makes that so complicated? It's like, you take the Rolling Stones, for example. They've had members come and go. Earliest members that started the band, bass players, they've had people come and go. Then Ron Wood comes in. Keith Richards and Mick Jagger have been constants. Now, so since some of the other people have come and gone, I think you could, but what complicates it, there's certain people you can't lose. There's certain
Right.
there are people you can lose, and there are people you can't lose.
just try to be the
Mick
Stones
Jagger.
without Mick singing. Right.
Yeah, and
It
I don't
shows
even
how
know. I don't even
fickle
know
we
if they
are.
would go on. I don't even know if they could go on without Keith Richards, because he's been a
No.
constant from day one.
No.
No, he's
So-
but he'll be alive after the cockroaches die after the
From the
nuclear war.
nuclear war,
Yeah.
right? Well,
Right.
that's the whole point. That's what complicates it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
certain
Stones
people in
already
the
have
band you
that.
can't lose, but other. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you said this earlier, Michael. I didn't catch it all, but the Stones are out of that category just with Brian Jones.
I know,
No, that's
Chris,
right.
that's
Yeah.
really, you bring a good point, because the Stones is the one band that is as iconic as the Beatles, the Who, Led Zeppelin. All right, they're iconic, and they are that iconic. They're right up with them in the 70s. The Stones, the Who, Black Sabbath,
Right,
Deep
right.
Purple, Led Zeppelin, whoever else we're talking. The Who, I already brought them up.
And-
When they were touring, they made the most money. They
Yeah.
sold the most tickets. Those were the hottest bands, and yet the Stones managed to do two key changes quite late in the game, and somehow survived with their identity intact. And that's kind of strange, because I hadn't thought about that until Chris brought it up. Was wow.
Okay, well, consider this. Okay, Ozzy Osbourne gets fired from Black Sabbath. He was more successful than they were in his solo career. Okay,
Yeah.
and they have had many incarnations. Black Sabbath.
No,
Of
they
course,
haven't.
Tony-
They have one incarnation with Ozzy Osbourne. Black Sabbath's one of those bands I'm talking about.
You're talking about the red. Well,
Black
I
Sabbath
don't know if I
died
agree with you
when
completely.
Ozzy Osbourne got fired, in my opinion, Royce. But I know that's
okay.
I'll be in the minority on that.
I've
because
never,
a lot
I've
of
never,
people
I've
love.
never been crazy about any of their other frontmen. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
I
me neither.
bought one Black Sabbath album accidentally, thinking Ozzy was still the frontman.
See,
And
yeah.
So
Which one?
let's see.
I'm guessing
he was-
probably not.
Please
Heaven and
don't say
Hell or
Born
Hell.
Again. Please don't say Born Again.
No,
Please don't
no.
say
It's not. It's not Born Again. It's the singer from. What was the singer from Rush? No. Let's see.
Oh, wait a
Ronnie
minute.
James
No.
Dio?
Wait. Say it again.
Ronnie James Dio?
Ronnie James Dio. Yes.
So it was either
Now-
Heaven and Hell or Mob Rules.
It was Heaven and Hell. But I'll tell
Well,
you
make-
something. I'll tell you
Make
something.
no
I have-
mistake. Ronnie was a great singer. It's not that I didn't like his singing. I just didn't like him and the whole sound and everything after Ozzy.
it was different, but I
Yeah.
have gained a lot of respect for Ronnie James Dio. He's very technical.
Oh,
He's got a great voice. He's very smart.
Sure does.
He's good. He's good. He's totally
I
good.
still have a point to make on the Stones.
Well, let's make it.
Oh, there we go. Okay, well, see, we were talking about, the Stones being iconic, and they've changed, yet we give them the privilege to still be the Stones and to continue. See, back in the day, when Mick Jagger and whoever developed language as a spoken form of communication, they call it God maybe, back in those days, they decided we need the word exception to the rule to be
exception
a
to the
word,
rule.
because the
Okay.
Stones are that exception.
the fly in
Yeah,
the
but-
ointment.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Another one, Michael. Another one. Since you brought this up, think about John Fogerty. Okay, I would pay to go see John Fogerty any day of the week and not give a damn who was in
Yeah.
the band when it started.
Yep, me too.
Okay.
Me too. And yet at the same time, I would miss Doug and Stu on the stage, but I wouldn't pay shit to go see Doug and Stu.
Them without
At
John
all.
Fogerty.
Yeah.
No way
Yeah.
in hell. No,
Yeah.
there's
But
no way.
I do miss the three of them. Of course, Tom can't join them anymore, and he had already quit. They actually did it, if you can call it an album. They did an album as a trio. I wish they could all get their heads out of their asses and just and call themselves Creedence freaking Clearwater Revival and give us one more damn tour.
Yeah, that would
right?
be that would be fun. I would go for that big time.
That would be one of the most successful tours of the year, Royce.
Another band you could never pull a single member out of would have been Cream. You're not going to pull Clapton.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to pull Jack Bruce's voice. That is the voice of Cream. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
But his voice was immaculate in the bass playing and stuff. And then Ginger Baker. You're not going to replace any one of those three guys and still have a band.
No,
right.
Absolutely not. But that's the nature of it. A trio to begin with, right? So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I mean, you can still replace a member, if there's other good guitar players out there and what have you.
Well, it'd be like ZZ Top. How could you replace anybody in that band?
They managed to.
Well, yeah, they did manage
but that's only temporary.
But but ZZ Top is dead. They just don't want to admit it.
Okay, let's make Michael's fireplace big. Okay, here we go.
There you go. Yes.
Hey guys, I again for the people wonder why I'm up and down. I have a back issue, so that's why.
No, feeling for you, brother, man. I'm telling you,
invisible.
I'm on the most miserable job I've ever been on in San Luis Obispo, and I'm rebuilding these back balconies, which sounds like a very easy little job, right? And oh my God, whoever put one of them together last time has just stacked stuff in there, and I'm having to. You can't remove screws or anything. They don't even have access to this stuff the way it was put together. Everything was put on, layered on up, and then the sheet metal, it has to stay behind the stucco, was put on. And so I'm laying on my side, breaking things out, one layer at a time. And it's just like, oh my, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm becoming ill. But anyway.
Some builders are like engineers that develop motors. They create a motor with all the parts that go on it, and make half of the motor inaccessible to work on unless you tear the whole thing apart.
Well, I have never seen anything anything like this, And
but you know what? The good thing about it all, Royce, is you got through it, and you're managing to put on this excellent show about the Who.
Well,
that's the main thing. I'm impressed. No, seriously, I am impressed because I know what you go through in your private life a bit. We talk beyond the show, folks, and I know what it takes for Royce to get up here, and I'm damn glad to see him.
Groovy Lisa's right about Chicago changing their socks. That's about right. They're the fan has given them that opportunity, and other bands, we won't have a part of it. We don't want it. Just
isn't that crazy?
Go away. Yep.
It wasn't that long ago we did a show on bands that had good horn sections, and Tower of Power, of course, rated very high for a band with a horn section. Well, I just found out here at our local Indian casino, Chumash Casino, that Tower of Power is coming for $49. Tickets start at $49. I haven't seen a good horn section in a long time.
I don't even know who's left in the band. I've not heard much about Tower of Power over the last couple of decades.
No, I haven't.
But boy, I sure loved them back in the day. Saw them twice. They were great.
Well, what do you think of this comment from Vinyl Gorilla Records? Keith Moon wasn't even half as good as John Bonham, and he was nowhere near as important to the band as John Bonham was, the Led Zeppelin. That's a fact. So,
well, Vinyl Gorilla, I would say, and it was good to see you over at the auction. I would say that you're correct that Keith Moon wasn't as good as John Bonham, but I think it's a lot closer than. I mean, my opinion is, boy, they're close, but a clear step for Bonham for me.
Yeah,
his triplet, his triplet work. He was known to hit triplets at inconvenient times, and his abilities to switch. And this may be where Vinyl Gorilla is indicating his ability to switch time signatures in a heartbeat and slip back multiple times. Yeah. So if that's where you're coming from, Yeah, okay. I would have to tend to agree.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've always seen him as a clear step better than Moon. But that doesn't take away Moon's amazing drumming, you know.
Okay.
Oh, one of Pete Townshend was talking about Keith Moon. He said one of the things that they could never figure out is how when they were recording a song and there was no reason for drum interlude or anything at all, he'd put one in there and it would sound great. And Townsend's going, well, why the hell didn't I think of that?
Right.
Because you're not a
But he
drummer.
just put in drum fills where they weren't even supposed to be, and he'd make them work.
Well, Bonham would make Page rethink everything and actually led him into writing a song. Kashmir was one of those songs. Bonham was the germ of that idea.
Yeah.
So when you think about, he's not just a great drummer, but he's a songwriter, songwriting drummer, you know, and those are rare. Those are rare.
Yeah, we were talking about Chicago and horns a few minutes ago. You want to see a great show, and they're still touring. Is Leonid? What is it? Leonid and Friends. They were a bunch. I believe it was.
You can take me
Russian.
off anytime, Royce. Because
And learn to speak English, and they do Chicago, note for note, beat for beat. They are incredible, and they still tour. And they put on a heck of a show. Google them, or just Google Chicago cover bands. They are incredible.
what's the name of it again? I didn't catch it.
Leonid, Leo Nid and Friends. And they, I think it's Leonid. They're doesn't really speak English, but their English when they sing is perfect.
Yeah.
But they have a full horn section, and they play Chicago's music like shut your eyes and you're back, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just say this now. The Who established themselves as part of the pop art and mod movements. And I remember the mod movement very well when I was in junior high school. They'd wear these solid shirts with polka dot cuffs and polka dot collars, and it was a real distinct look. In fact, our junior high divided between the mods and the cowboys.
Wow.
And
the mod look in the North Bay up by San Francisco when I was growing up in Santa Rosa. That wasn't a thing at all. I never heard of the mod movement until I heard Who's Next, which was the album that finally I liked their hits, right? But I hadn't bought anything. Then I became a fan and started buying their stuff. And that's when I became, buying their early albums, mod, and I thought that was just a English thing, because it wasn't a big thing up in the North Bay.
yeah,
At least not with the crowd I hung with.
Well, okay, so Keith Moon joined the band in 1964 at the age of 17. He auditioned for The Who as a replacement for Doug Sandom. Okay, so let's see. Let's move along here. I think it's time to maybe show an album. This is considered by many. Hold on, let me get bigger here. This is considered by many, and I just got through listening to it before the show started. Who's Next? And this is a great album. I mean, like I said, I've listened to it many times. I'll read the track list real quick. It's got Baba O'Reilly, Bargain. They call that a bargain, the best I ever had. Love Ain't for Keeping, My Wife, Song Is Over, Side 2, Getting in Tune, Going Mobile, Behind Blue Eyes, and Won't Get Fooled Again. Okay. So
Outstanding album.
This is a great album.
It's not only a great album, it's one of the top 5 albums in rock and roll. It's right up there with Dark Side of the Moon. It's right up there with Abbey Road. Okay. And it's right up there with Led Zeppelin 4. That's how good that album is.
Yeah. Now I've had a copy of this album, Meaty, Beady, Big and Bouncy, since I was a teenager. And this one's a bit frayed and stuff. And this may even be the original, because I had a big stack of albums that I carried from place to place for years. And there were times when I had one of those units that the record player's vinyl player was on top, and then you had the equalizer, and then the AM FM, and then maybe a 8-track or a CD, and it all came in a case with a glass door on it, And I had 2 or 3 of those over the years in my younger days, and so I always had my albums, and I had this album, and I don't know whether this is my original. I couldn't say that 100%, but it just may be, and I have a Jimi Hendrix Experience that may be my original, and I definitely have a Blind Faith that my older brother gave me for my birthday when I was 16 years old, and I have that's an original, of course. I've had that forever. So anyway, this is a great album too. Meaty, beady, big and bouncy. Got some great tracks on it, and the Who really is a fantastic band. I mean, let's see. Let's open this gatefold up and show the good folks the gatefold here. Okay. All right. Maybe if I got this out of the way, let's see. I'd have a little.
Sorry, Eric. But good point. I love that. The plywood guitar breaks in half. I just didn't want to interrupt Royce.
Oh, no ways. No worries. So this one has side 1. I can't explain. The kids are right. The kids are all right. Happy Jack. I can see for miles.
And that was one of their first songs where they became the Who. That everybody wanted to see. Yeah.
Hey! How about this next one? My Generation, right?
Yeah. That was an early hit, though. I almost saw that as an old-fashioned song. I always loved it. Magic Bus also seems kind of The Seeker. Okay, then anyway, anyhow, anywhere. Pinball Wizard. Come on. Who didn't consider themselves a pinball wizard back in the day?
I was.
I'm pretty sure I was, actually. Illegal Matter, Boris the Spider, The Magic Bus.
Boris the Spider, written by John Entwistle, by the way. Yes. Boris the Spider's an Entwistle song.
And
one of the best bass lines.
I'm a boy.
Yeah, now, you're right, Chris. It is that great bass line.
Right. Let me make myself smaller again. So anyway, anybody want to show an album that they brought with them to show on the Who?
Well, I would just show you the same album you already showed us.
This is a perfect OG. Not a scuff on it. I love it.
Yeah,
perfect.
They're hard to come by.
They're hard to come by. Yeah,
an OG is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I got a few things, Royce, if you want. You were talking about the mods, and I was showing the pictures from far away, but if you make me big, I can show you the difference, the way they're dressed.
Here you go, man.
Here's Roger Daltrey. One side mod, the other side what he did after.
Yeah.
Get it with the shine on there.
Mod with the white collar, yeah.
And then here's John Entwistle's picture, mod without.
Okay.
And then here's Keith Moon. As close to mod as he ever got.
Oh yeah, what? You gotta love frickin' Keith Moon, man.
And then here's Pete
Townshend, yeah.
But that all comes from this the box set I got here. That it's 30 years of maximum R&B.
That's way cool. Yeah, that's great. There's so many stories out there about Keith Moon. It's just unbelievable. I did a video on the Hollywood Vampires Drinking Club, and that was held in Hollywood.
You can make me small again, Royce.
Yeah, okay. That was held in Hollywood, and Alice Cooper was the president, and Keith Moon was the vice president of Alice Cooper's Hollywood Vampires Drinking Club. And they even formed a softball team. We're playing fire departments and police departments and things like that. But they said one of the most fun things about going to the meetings was you never knew what Keith Moon was going to wear to the meeting, because he went to all these costume shops around Hollywood. He might show up dressed as a French maid with a little dress on. He might show up dressed as the Queen of England.
You know, it
But it was
almost
just
makes you wonder
hilarious
why
stuff.
they called him Moon the Loon, huh?
Oh yeah, makes you
Yeah.
wonder about that.
Yeah. That was his nickname.
No,
Moon the
no,
Loon.
I know. You know, that's brought up a lot, and it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Given all the craziness. So let's see. You guys got any more interesting tidbits about these guys? I mean, okay,
Well, I'd like to know from the panel and from the peanut gallery.
Mhm.
What are the top 3 Who albums?
Oh,
You
I'll
know,
go
to you
first.
guys.
I'll
Yeah, go
first.
for it, Chris.
For me, it's Who's Next, and then first, I'm not going to stick with the studio album, so I'm going to say Who's Next, Live at Leeds, and Tommy. Are those my 3?
You know, that's
Close
pretty,
to mine.
that's
Very
a pretty,
close to mine.
pretty damn good list. I mean, I have the live at Leeds too, and
Yep.
for some reason, some of the stuff I was researching was listing Live at Leeds as a studio album. Don't ask me why.
No.
But yeah, I would go kind of with the stuff I've already shown. Who's Next? Okay, and
Mhm.
I really like this one, man. This one takes me back. Meaty beady. Hold on. Let me get this screen bigger here. All right, come on. Let me coax you into getting bigger here. Okay, so and don't take that the wrong way. Coax you into getting bigger. You know what I mean? So here's the Who. Meaty. I really like this album, man. I really.
Hey,
like
Royce, take the comment off the screen. We can see your stuff a little better that way.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta go find the comment now. Okay. All right. Okay. So I like Who's Next. I like Meaty Beady, Big and Bouncy. Well, I also like, you know, Live at Leeds, but I don't know if I'll throw that in there. I do have Tommy. I think it definitely deserves honorable mention up at the top. What is it, like the first ever rock opera? And you know, and it really told a whole story about this deaf, dumb, and blind boy.
And blind. Yeah.
That was an amazing pinball machine player, you know. Then I've got Who Are You? This is actually a good album.
Yeah, it is.
Who Are You?
Yep.
You know, look at these guys. I mean, they look pretty cool up there.
Yeah.
Then this one I picked up just 2 weeks ago. I picked this up just 2 weeks ago. Odds and Sods, The Who.
Oh, wow.
I found this up at my local Paso Robles, you know, antique store. And what did I pay for this damn thing? $16. Okay.
Good price.
I did with the poster. It still had the
Oh,
poster.
sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
$16 with the poster. But I guess I didn't really answer the question. Okay, I'm gonna go Who's Next? Meaty Beady, Big and Bouncy. Throw Tommy in, you know, as much for its historical contribution as well as, you know, the story. I mean, I just think it's pretty cool concept. And then, you know what, I would have to, after that, maybe just throw in maybe Who Are You?
Okay.
Yeah,
What about you, Nick?
Well,
What's your top 3?
like I said, I've never did a deep dive into them till this week. I've enjoyed their music. Never really went out of my way, and I don't know why. Maybe it was my age. I'm not sure. But the ones that have been mentioned, having any of them is great. I mean, I spun a bunch of them this week, but then I went and I've been listening to which one is this? Live at Hyde Park. This was a good concert.
Okay.
They were older, but it
Yeah.
was a really good concert, and I enjoyed it. Unfortunately, no Keith Moon. But as far as a favorite, I'll listen to any of them anytime. It's like some of my other favorite bands. As long as they're playing,
I know, yeah. And you know, the more you hear one, the more you like it. So that
and
you know,
and you know the words to every song. I mean, let's
Well,
face it. You grew up during that age.
no,
You know
I
the
know.
words. You don't even have to recall them; they just come out.
Isn't that the damn truth? I mean, it
Yeah.
really is. And it's like you said, you have what, 2,000 albums? I mean, come on.
Just
So
about, yeah.
so you have so many of a particular band that
I have
if you
11
have,
plus a couple that haven't been logged in yet. So, of the
Okay.
Who alone.
well, there you go. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you've been focused on one, just trying to catch up on it, that almost becomes your favorite. It's the one you're listening to, and it's all good, you know.
The one that's playing at the time, yep. So I
Right.
listened, I watched some video, I played some records, I streamed some. It was all just a blast. I really enjoyed it. Just this
Right,
week didn't have a
right.
whole lot of time. You know, a lot of stuff going on. We had a downtown where our restaurant is. There was a big festival. And we had to plan for it, get ready for it, and then actually go through it and do it. So time was very limited this week, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
Well, I'd have to say, out of all three of you, Chris comes the closest to my choices. That's for sure. I would agree with him with his number one pick. Who's next? I would agree with him with his number two pick, which is Live at Leeds. My number three pick would not be Tommy. It would be Quadrophenia. And I recognize the greatness of Tommy, but Tommy is like The Wall from Pink Floyd for me.
Yeah.
It's stuffed with stuff that didn't need to be there for me. The listen, you have to, I feel like I'm wading through like okay songs to the next big one that is coming. And there are some big ones on that album. So it would, but I think it's a bit overrated. Always have felt that way. But I do give it its due. I mean, it was the first, although there's some controversy there, but it's recognized as the first rock album or opera album. And you can't argue with that kind of greatness, any more than you can argue with the greatness of, say, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Even though I might enjoy listening to Magical Mystery Tour most times, it does not take away the greatness of Sgt. Pepper. And that's kind of how I feel about Tommy. I recognize its recognized greatness. And but I'd probably number 6 on my list. A couple of albums in there that I'd put before it. But Quadrophenia, it's a rock opera too. So Chris and we're just disagreeing on which rock opera. That's all. So we came pretty close tonight, actually.
Yeah.
My thing is, I'm not really overly familiar with Quadrophenia to honestly rate it. To be honest, like
that's me too. I've never had that album.
Well, and the reason I am is I saw them on their Quadrophenia tour. That was the night that Pete Townshend and Keith Moon got into fisticuffs. Keith Moon was drunker than a skunk and probably higher than a kite all at once. He finally passed out. It's a famous concert. I just so happened to be there that night, quite by a lot of happenstance. It took me 48 hours to make sure I was there that night to get my tickets, because me and a couple of band members were going together, and we were all working in, I cleaned theaters. We were just, we were maintenance, that's all we did. So we all got together and worked on each other's accounts to get there so we could get and stand in line for Ticketron to get the tickets, and it was my bass player at the time that was the big Who fan. And I, of course, loved Who's Next. So I wanted to see them perform that at the very least. And they did perform quite a bit of it,
Oh, that's cool.
So fantastic concert. One of the best live bands ever until Keith Moon wasn't capable of going on further. But, they got a kid up from the audience, and he took over, and it was written in all the papers. He had quite a successful, his name's not coming to me right now, career as a studio drummer from that point on. It made him. But it was a big concert. Yeah, he did a great job too, Royce. He did a great job.
If you didn't bring that up, I was going to bring it up and let you get you to tell that story. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've told it so many times.
I know.
But you know, what was it? It was PBS did a special on rock and roll, the greatest rock and roll events, the 50 greatest rock and roll events of rock history, and this was one of those 50 great events in rock and roll. So, and I went, when I first saw that, when that first came out, I go, I was there.
Right.
But
Okay.
I was there.
So the Who was really known for their high energy live shows and aggressive.
Oh, they were
stage
great.
dancing. They destroyed equipment, used feedback, distortion, played at deafening volumes. They were influenced by the British mod subculture, okay, which had to do with fashion and they were all in with all of that stuff, pop art, fashion. Their first single as the Who, I Can't Explain, 1965, reached the UK top 10, was followed by a string of hit singles, including My Generation, 65, Substitute, and Happy Jack, both 66. 67, they performed at the Monterey Pop Festival and released I Can See for Miles, the only U.S. top 10 single. The group's 1969 concept album, Tommy, included the single Pinball Wizard and was a critical and commercial success.
I don't think you mentioned Magic Bus in there, too.
No, I didn't.
Wasn't that a big hit for them over there?
Magic Bus, that's right.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I can hear it playing in my head right
It's one of their staples. Maybe it's like Yesterday. It wasn't quite released as a single, but everybody thinks it was. I mean, Yesterday was a single here in the States, but in England, it was never released as a single by the Beatles. So maybe it's one of those things. I love that song. That kind of bespeaks a whole generation, that song.
No, that does, yeah. Well, further festival appearances included, they played at Woodstock, the Isle of Wight, and Chris, you showed that a little while ago, the Isle of Wight, the CD, I think it was. They had, along with the concert album, Live at Leeds, that established their reputation as a respected rock act. The success put pressure on lead songwriter Townshend, and the follow-up to Tommy, Lifehouse, was abandoned. He had so much pressure to try to come up with something that was equal or greater than Tommy. He just gave up on the album he was trying to put together called Lifehouse. It was abandoned. Songs from the project made up the Who album, Who's Next? Who's Next?
And you know what? I think that's the one time in rock, because I've heard bits and pieces from Lighthouse. I don't think it would have been as good as Who's Next. That's my opinion.
Okay, well,
but a lot of Who fans want that, but
so including they made it on Who's Next, and that included the hit songs "Won't Get Fooled Again," "Baba O'Reilly," and "Behind Blue Eyes." All great songs. I mean, when you think about these songs, if you
My Wife is a great song.
Yeah.
My Wife, she gets it on. Yeah, I love that song. Isn't that a Entwistle?
Yes.
Song? Well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, another Entwistle song.
By far, one of my favorite songs.
He was the Who's George Harrison. He'd get one or two songs on an album.
No, that's true. Yeah.
With Pete Townshend being Lennon and McCartney.
Michael missed the last meeting.
Guy over there.
Michael missed the last meeting. I wanted to add something that we've been talking about, all this wonderful music as we do every week. But there's something that is different. Most of us listen to 2-channel stereo, unless it's in mono. But some of it has been remixed into Dolby HD or Dolby True HD, different 5.1 channel. And it gives a next level. Like this one's been remastered. It has certain tracks. You
Oh,
can
wow.
select them. You can select them, and they'll be in 5.1. And it's
Oh,
a live concert where you're almost sitting live with 5 speakers blowing the music at you. And they're not put to get together haphazardly. They're put together
great.
by musicians. So you're sitting in a concert.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
Yeah, I'd love to hear
you have 2, like in this one, you have 2 that are just CDs, and then there's one that's a DVD. Now, all of them can be played in 5.1. The DVD's extra bonus. You get to watch the concert and listen to it, and you're in the middle of it. And it's a great experience if you have the opportunity or the gear to play it as such.
Yeah.
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 I highly recommend it.
Wow.
Okay.
So, they've been coming out with a lot of stuff that's been done in Dolby Atmos. I've got it Doors that's done in, and Fleetwood Mac has done. There's a bunch of music coming back out that's being remixed using all of the tracks if they're available to remix this music and give you a different experience. Same music you know and love, but sometimes brought to the next level, which you didn't believe could happen.
Yeah.
When you're
Okay.
hearing it in front of you here, and
Right.
then over here, and then over there, and it's just amazing. It's a lot of fun.
Let me ask the panel here, the panel in Michael's fireplace. I have a comment up from Vinyl Gorilla Records. He says Ginger Baker did not have a distinctive drum sound. He just had a distinctive personality. I think that's pretty freaking interesting. Myself. What do you guys think?
Oh, I thought he was very distinctive. He had to be to blend in between some of the
Clapton and
best
Bruce.
bass playing
Yeah.
alive and the greatest lead guitarist. I don't know. I think he did a wonderful job.
No,
Myself.
and
That's-
Vinyl Gorilla is not saying he didn't do a wonderful job.
Right.
Okay.
That's
He's just,
the
he's
personality
just making the distinction that like Bonham. Bonham. I mean,
Okay. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'd agree with that too.
Okay,
That's why,
okay.
I don't rank Baker quite as high as Royce does, but I still
think-
rank him
Yeah,
quite
okay.
high. I think I said he's about number 5 for me if I thought about it,
Doesn't the personality come out in the way that they play?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, personality and their style is one in the same, I believe. But
Yeah.
that's I'm not a musician.
Well, no,
but
that
that's just
same
my belief.
thing crossed my mind. Your
Yeah.
personality comes through on your style. Now, Eric Schultz just
I
made
think-
an interesting comment as well.
Can I make one
Yes.
more thing on what you just asked?
Yeah.
I think Ginger Baker definitely had a distinctive sound in the fact that he was one of the early drummers to kind of mix jazz and rock in that sound. And if you could hear it on a lot of his drum work, that's different than the drummers of his time. Like, for example, Keith Moon or John Bonham, they were all super talented drummers, but he had a much different sound than them and the regular, usual drummers of that
a lot
time.
of tom-tom work and organic
lot of that-
sounding tom-toms too.
And
Well, I
that
gotta
free
tell ya,
jazz kind of sound, yeah.
I've listened to the band Cream to death. In fact, Cream Disraeli Gears was one of my first 2 8-tracks I bought. It just turned 16 years old and got my first car. And all I know is it always sounded good. I loved it. I still listen to that album today. And it's just timeless for me. And all I knew when I was that age and even a little bit younger, maybe 15 years old, not driving yet, all I heard from, all the older guys and older brothers of my friends was Ginger Baker is the best drummer ever. Best drummer ever. That's all I heard.
I'd
from
hear
everybody.
that. I'd hear the same thing, up in the Northern California area. That was kind of the general consensus with everybody I talked to, and musicians as well, because I'm a musician. So it wasn't just the fans that were saying that. A lot of musicians thought that too.
Yeah, a lot of musicians thought that. So anyway, Eric Schultz says, and now get back to the Who, okay? I looked it up. I looked it up. Yeah, Eric keeps us straight
Tap
here.
that like
I
button.
looked it up and found that the Ready Steady Who EP was released before their second album, a quick one, while he's away. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Eric.
Tap that like button.
Yeah, like button. Thank you. Thank you, Novice Nick. Yeah. I got to pay more attention to what you're saying over there. Yeah, please hit the like or thumbs up button. What that does, it doesn't cost a penny, of course, but it lets the algorithm, it encourages the algorithm to distribute the show to a wider audience. The more likes you get, the more they keep putting in front of people looking for the right audience, you know? And that's what the algorithm does.
We're trying to currently push each of these streams to get 50 thumbs up, folks.
Yeah.
Because
and I'm usually about 10 short.
Video gets 50, it gets a bump from the algorithm and more views, and it helps out Royce's channel. So that's why you'll see me typing in 13 to go. You know, I'm not trying to be a pain in the ass.
You know, that
I
video.
thought you were proving you could count. Okay.
That video.
Well, that too, Nick.
Yeah, Michael, one of the ones you're talking about, that video.
Wait a minute, I'm up to 14 right now.
That video on John Bonham. What was the last album he did with Led Zeppelin? We were way down on the numbers, and all of a sudden, within 2 days of the show coming out, we hit 50, and that's got well over 2,000 views now.
Nice.
It was just like somebody flipped a switch, and the views started flowing in.
And every 50, you get another bump. So it goes 50, 100, 150, 200, and but you know, we are a humble channel here, folks. We're only asking for 50. Okay. Just 50. We'll talk about 100 next month. But no, we're really trying to, you know, get Royce more views over here.
Well, yeah, we're trying to, you know, it's all part of just building the channel, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a wonderful chat, a very active chat, and it's just so nice to see, you know.
And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, people coming back over and over again.
You started this, Nick.
And new people coming in.
Let it play out, brother.
To get us back on track, I have a bit of a kind of a story. Don't hold me to the dates or the festivals because I don't remember which ones are which. But there was kind of a small competition between Pete Townshend and Jimi Hendrix. And
Monterey Pop.
Was it Monterey Pop where the Who refused to go on stage after Hendrix because they normally, obviously, Pete Townshend likes to break up the stage, right? Well, Jimmy upped them by lighting his guitar on fire.
Yep,
right.
Monterey Pop Festival, and boy, Townshend was pissed. He was already jealous of the man. I mean, he was known to go to Eric Clapton after seeing him and going, "How does it feel like to be out of a job?" Which pissed me off for two reasons. One, first of all, just jealousy. And Pete Townshend, he's a genius, but he is a jealous man. And then on top of that, it was almost like he was putting himself on the level of Eric Clapton. You forget who you're talking to, boy. That's Eric freaking Clapton. You're Pete Townshend, the world's greatest rhythm guitarist. That guy, a lot of people call God, right?
Right.
So I always thought, but Pete Townshend, you know, it's not his personality I like. I like his genius. But he's one of those guys like Roger Waters. I don't like Roger Waters, but he's one of my heroes in rock and roll. But I just don't like the man he's become, you know.
I know.
And I'm not talking about his politics. I'm talking about his incessant need to preach his politics at concerts. And as you know, Royce, I'm dead set against that. And so when an artist does that, I'm not happy with that. And that's my own personal pet peeve. But Pete Townshend is another one of those guys. And it's not about politics with Pete Townshend. He, you know, like McCartney invited him on to play the Rockestra theme. John Bonham was there also. John Entwistle was there. Just this big, massive instrumental, right? And they were going to shoot a video for it. and they were all going to dress in tuxes. And Pete Townshend said, "I'm not going to have any of that." Yeah. So he shows up in a T-shirt or something. Yeah. You can check out Rockestra video YouTube, and you guys will see it. And it's just his attitude all the time, just mopey Pete. And I get tired of it. That does not take away his talent and what he has given us any more than whether I like Roger Waters or not. That does not take away the fact that I just picked up the mixed and remastered Animals album by Pink Floyd, which is predominantly his songs, right? So I'm a major fan, just not of the man. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, Michael.
And same thing goes with Pete Townshend. He's one of rock's anti-heroes. And you either love him or you don't. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, it's
he's
funny.
a contrarian on everything.
It's the nature of man. I mean, even the men that founded this country, half of them or a bunch of them couldn't stand the others.
Right.
They didn't see eye to eye on a lot of topics, but they came together to create a more perfect union. Just like these bands came together with their, opposing points of views and still created a wonderful band. Great music.
Right. Well,
and if you think about the Who, the Who is chock full. He wasn't the only problem. I'm amazed the Who stayed together as long as they did. John Entwistle and Keith Moon were looking for another band. They didn't want to be in the Who anymore.
That's right.
The only one that wanted to be there at any given time, and even he got fed up, was Roger Daltrey. He was kind of the Ringo of the band. Oh, come on, fellas. And yet I could tell you tales about him and Pete going at it. So,
Okay, so we all are aware of the Quadrophenia in 1973. That was another concept album by the Who, as a celebration of their mod roots, and oversaw the film adaptation of Tommy in '75. I remember when my wife went to see that with her girlfriend from high school, Tommy.
I hated that movie.
They continued to tour to large audiences before retiring from performances at the end of 1976. The release of Who Are You in 1978 was overshadowed by Moon's death shortly thereafter. And boy, was that tragic. And you know what? It was an accidental overdose of a drug intended to help you to get off alcohol.
Right.
Which made it
30 of them is a little much.
Yeah.
Oh, 30 of them. You're kidding me.
Yeah, 30 of the pills.
That's like saying, I guess, methadone's getting me off heroin, right?
Well, for some people, that's exactly what that's what they use.
No, I know, but for
sadly speaking, that's what they use the clinics for. Is
I know it's like it was the
first.
It was the first score of the day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
he thought he was, the worst person on the planet, and I speak from experience. To treat an addict is an addict, Royce. You don't. An addict should never treat themselves. They should give up the ghost and put themselves in better hands. And
John
Pete,
Belushi.
I agree with that.
Right.
I agree with that.
There were treatment.
I've been, with family, been through some things with family members.
Yeah. I didn't get better until I gave all of my will away concerning that whole portion of my life. Once you do that and become answerable to something greater than you have a shot. But you gotta listen to people who know what they're talking about and not self-medicate or try to get off the sauce this way or that way. Trust me, tried it many times. It doesn't work.
Well, okay. So no, I hear you. So the band embarked on its Hard tour in support of their 1982 album, It's Hard. After Townshend became weary of the group They split in 83, occasionally reforming for live appearances, like appearances at things such as Live Aid in 85, a 25th anniversary tour in 89 with Simon Phillips on drums, and a tour of Quadrophenia from 96 to 97. Okay. A full reunion began in 1992 with a drummer, Zach Starkey. After Entwistle's death in 2002, plans for a new album were delayed until 2006 with Endless Wire. Okay, since Entwistle's death, the Who have continued to perform. Imagine that. I mean, think of how many years, to perform and tour, most commonly with Starkey on drums, Pino Palladino on bass, Pete's brother Simon Townshend on second guitar, and backing vocals. In 2019, the group released the album Who and toured with a symphony orchestra. I thought that was interesting. I think the rock bands always sound good with a symphony orchestra behind them. I never used to care for that, but now I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too bad the Who never did that.
Yeah. Well, during a gig with yeah, right.
Not even touching that one.
Sorry about that, folks.
So during a gig, with a stand-in drummer in late April at the Oil Field, the band first met Keith Moon. Moon grew up in Wembley. He had been drumming in bands. Can't let Keith Moon go this early. He had been drumming in bands since 61, is performing with a semi-professional band called the Beachcombers and wanted to play full-time. Moon played a few songs with the group, breaking a bass drum pedal and tearing a drum skin. The band was impressed with his energy and enthusiasm, and offered him the job. Right?
It's a perfectly mod thing to do.
Yeah,
their early audiences were quite rambunctious. Early punk kind of audiences.
Right.
They played. So he fit the bill perfectly, Royce.
Well, they could very easily be considered the first punk band too.
When you look at what the mod scene was, and then you compare it to the punk scene, there's just too many tendrils between the two. I would agree with you, Chris, 100%.
Well, I want to mention now a couple of interesting facts about the Who. Okay. One of the most famous double bills of the Who's career, John and Keith named the band Led Zeppelin to open for the Who at Merriweather Post Pavilion in Columbia. So Led Zeppelin opened for the Who, 1969.
That must have been interesting because it's on record that Pete Townshend hated Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, of course he did.
Well, the
jealous little bastard.
The one that I actually love along those lines is Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard that story or even seen the video I made on it, but I don't know. It was going to be like 26, 27 cities, and Jimmy would come out and he'd play like Purple Haze or whatever, and they'd all be the young girls, 14-year-old girls that were brought by their parents to see the Monkees would be chanting, "We want Davy, we want Davy."
Yeah.
And Hendrix would be trying to play, and he'd say something like, "Foxy Lady," and he'd beckon the crowd to yell "Foxy Lady." He'd go, "Foxy Lady," and they'd go, "We want Davy."
That's an excellent point, Eric. Thanks. Yeah. That album, when I got it, I loved that album. Yeah.
Finally, by the fourth performance, Jimi Hendrix flipped off the crowd, threw his guitar off, walked off the stage, and quit the tour. I thought that was pretty cool.
He hurt Davy's feelings.
Sure he did.
So the Who had, I think I mentioned this already, 12 studio
albums.
Like
Davy cared, all those teeny boppers wanted him anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's skip down. Let's just skip down and take a look at lifetime achievements. Okay, the Who got the Lifetime Achievement Award from the British phonographic industry in 1988, and from the Grammy Foundation in 2001 for creative contributions and outstanding artistic significance to the field of recording. Tommy was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1998, My Generation in 1999, Who's Next in 2007. My Generation was selected for preservation in the United States National Recording Registry. The English rock band The Who has sold more than 100 million records. The discography includes 12 studio albums, 18 live albums, 4 soundtracks, 36 compilations, 4 extended plays, 58 singles, and 23 video albums.
See, that's one thing I have against The Who is they got almost 3 times more compilation albums than they do studio albums. I mean, kind of, dare I say it, a bit of a money grab.
Good point, Chris.
Yeah, there it is. Money grab.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
That Chris just explained my total silence as Royce went through all that stuff. It's like not the Who, not the Who, not the Who, not the Who. I mean, that just kept going through my mind. But
yeah.
But as a company that the Who has become, it's more the emblem than the band. Good Lord, 100 million albums.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100 million albums.
Well, they're
platinum. That's platinum 100 times over, baby.
I know.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I think they did well for themselves.
Yeah.
Well,
So
just
anyway, folks,
Big and Bouncy is probably bigger than, as a compilation, bigger than most people's biggest studio albums. I mean,
well, yeah, easily.
So.
Yeah. Well, compilations can do that. You take the best from multiple albums and.
Well, here in the States, it sold real well because a lot of us didn't get the Who right away.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't the mod Who. There wasn't a lot of people in the United States that were following them. I mean, the people in the know, this hit, that hit would filter through, but they weren't this major band really until Tommy, came along.
Right.
And the United States, with the help of Rolling Stone, of course, really pushed that, as this. I mean, I'd walk into a record store, Royce, and you'd see 50 of those suckers just all up there. And I was tempted a couple of times to get it. And I'll tell you, it was the double album price. Back then, I go, man, that's 2 Black Sabbaths. Or,
2 Black Sabbaths, right?
I couldn't quite, that didn't make quite sense to me.
Check this out. Are you guys aware that there's a rock biopic about the Who coming up?
No, but I am aware of one about Led Zeppelin.
No. The IMAX. I know we're all obsessed with that one. The IMAX. Yeah. That's February 7th, I think, when that starts.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I've been looking for a place to watch it, and most of those
it's going to have to be San Francisco for me.
Most of those IMAXs are they typically priced $10-12. I can't imagine the Led Zeppelin documentary is going to be $10 or $12.
No, whatever it is, we'll pay it. We'll see it.
Yeah,
it's like closest thing to a concert we can get.
I know, but you know what? There's different degrees of IMAX. There's different qualities of IMAX. I haven't sorted through that yet because I'd like the best experience I can get.
Right. I'm predicting this is only part 1, folks.
You'll need.
I say that's my latest video. I think this is the beginning of an anthology project. I see bigger things.
Well, I haven't said that in one of your comments on one of your shows this past week that it's kind of cool that they cut it off where they did because they got the whole second half of the career to go through now.
There you go. And there's footage all around. See, the reason why this is even happening is Jimmy Page, who is the guy you have to go to,
Oh yeah.
has always wanted this kind of documentary. But every time he and his team were presented with an idea by ambitious filmmakers, some very big named, he was left with just a bad taste in his mouth. He said that none of them got what Led Zeppelin was about. He'd always see treaties on mud sharks or this or that, $200,000, missing. And he said they didn't get the music. All right. So when these two gentlemen, and I'm not going to remember their names, who are putting this film together, came to him, they not only got the music, but they presented their presentation to him in leather-bound volumes. It was that important to them to treat him with that kind of respect. He was on board when that happened, because this film will contain entire performances of songs. Instead of, I say this in my latest video, you've got a documentary and that's all we've had, but it's always this voiceover. And then the band went on to San Francisco. And then you've got this sub sound of Robert Plant singing, I don't know, right? Only it's not even in track.
I thought that was your Axl Rose impersonation.
That was my Axl Rose impersonation voice. It was the only thing I could come up with.
You're like a one-trick pony here.
I really am.
I'm heartbroken.
I should be ashamed of myself.
I am hereby heartbroken.
But here's the thing. See, that's what we've gotten. Only portions of performances, and there's going to be some of the footage from what is it? West.
Way out west. Oh, how the West was won.
No. The venue. There was something east, something west. I'm just not thinking of the name right now. Fillmore, thank you.
Fillmore West.
So there's going to be footage from Fillmore West, and there's also going to be footage from the Dallas area in Texas. So I'm really excited. Now, we're talking entire performances we've never seen before. I mean, this has really been done. Their IMAX means they're giving it the royal treatment. IMAX generally means that the sound is going to be superb. Right. And, of course, with Jimmy Page involved, it is. And we're going to get all of that, plus chopped up, I would imagine, a final interview with John Bonham before he died that's never been seen before. And they're going to intersperse what he has to say. See, they're going to play him like John Lennon was played in the anthology. They had to use old clips and stuff. Yeah. Only this has never been seen or heard before. So, and also interviews with the older Led Zeppelin members as they are today, or at least as they were when these interviews occurred. This is a major event. All right?
Yeah,
plain and simple.
Oh, yeah.
It's a biggie. It's a biggie.
Can I cry now?
The nearest, what?
I looked it up. For me to go see it in IMAX, it's 157.8 miles away.
Yeah, it's about the same for me, Nick.
Yeah.
It's going to take me a couple of 2.5 hours to get into the city. But,
yeah, this is not something
I even told my wife, I said, no way, I'm not going into fucking San Francisco. And she goes, why not? We should go. So I guess, all right.
Hey guys, look at this comment from Steve Lorado Pee-wee. If Keith Moon wasn't such a great drummer, he would have been a resident of Padded Room.
Yeah, you probably would have been.
That's great. Thank you.
Put him on kitchen duty and be banging on the pots and pans, man. Hey,
if it wasn't for Keith Moon, Sesame Street wouldn't be the same either. Yeah. I mean, Animal was created in Keith Moon's image.
Yeah. The moves and everything, man.
Yeah.
Or John Bonham. A lot of drummers are tick 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 tick.
Yeah.
You can make me smile again.
Okay.
Hey, Royce,
Yeah.
I was
All
going to
right.
ask. This is slightly off topic, but I just picked
Well,
this up.
it's
This
always
is since
okay to
I
get.
started collecting albums. Let me make sure I've got this in order. Of course, this is my first record store day, right? And
Congratulations.
yeah, Royce, I still blame Royce. But anyway, this is one of the first albums that Royce ever sent me. All right. Now, this album, Close to the Edge, Royce sent me one that's got an early enough printing where it's got the texture that you're used to. I haven't even looked close enough to see if it's a first pressing or any. Yeah, I'm not that into it, but it's an early pressing, I can tell. And thank you, Royce. This is a very clean copy you sent me. I've been listening.
It was super clean. Yeah.
Oh, brother, I've been listening to it right and left, and I'm not even going to show you all of the Yes albums I bought. I just two more. I got this one. This is the Kevin Gray, I think so. Yeah, Kevin Gray remastered, Fragile album. All right. Now I picked that up about a month ago. All right, a couple of weeks ago. But for Record Store Day, this one's coming. I just got a chance to pick this one up, and this is Yes, Fragile. I'm getting a lot of reflection on it. I've still got the wrapper on it. There, that's better.
That
all right, there we go.
Time.
And so it's the outtakes for Fragile.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a special Black Friday Record Store Day deal, and that's the one album I picked up for my record store.
Michael, you
Mine's
have
coming.
absolutely become a physical media animal, man.
I certainly have, and you're the blame. No, I'm serious. That way,
like I didn't want to lose you to streaming. Okay.
Out of all those albums you sent me, and there's plenty there that I listen to a lot. This is the one I listen to the most.
Oh,
it's a good copy.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
And it's my favorite Yes album.
Right,
Close to the Edge. So by the way, because of all this, I'm going to be doing some new videos on my channel around Yes in a different way. I'm getting back to talking about the music. I want to go through the album, the history, and all of that. And what? My channel's so new. I mean, I'm into my 4th season, but I'm still finishing out my 3rd season as a rock channel. That doesn't switch till February. So I kind of got waylaid there for a while. I want to get back into talking about the albums, the history, and the tons of albums and bands I still haven't talked about. So a lot of that's coming. See what you started?
Yeah, I do.
Now, Michael, Atlantic 75th is coming from Analog Production.
What's that?
It's the 45-speed Atlantic 75th edition. They have 2 Yes albums coming from that collection. Yes. And those will be done in 45. And the next one coming is Fragile. I think that's in January.
Yeah, I'll have to get it. Because Yes is one of those bands I'm fastly going, even over Deep Purple. I think Yes is going to take my number 4 spot. I've been threatening either Deep Purple, The Police, or Queen, or Yes. And, the more I'm getting back into Yes, currently, in a current fashion, wanting to get back into them. And I haven't been out of them that long, but not while I've been on my channel, right? And so this is the first time I've, just in my normal life, I'm kind of turning my direction toward Yes again. And, God, what a band. What a band.
Absolutely.
I just, they have to be number 4 when I think of, what they represent, the whole prog, it's good to nudge a prog band up that high. A lot of people say, yeah, but Pink Floyd's your number 3, and they're prog. Well, no, they're not prog. No, there's prog elements to Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
To me, they're a psychedelic band that morphed into something else, but there's always, I could still hear psychedelia on Animals, if you know what to listen for and where they came from, right? So
yeah, Yes is one of those bands that the catalog ends too soon. I mean, you can start playing their music, and it just, no matter what album you listen to, it ends too soon.
Well, you know what? I'm one of the people that's a fan of Mirror to the Sky. And I had already written Yes off. That's not Yes, not with just one member. I was on my tirade against Foreigner and Kiss.
Yeah.
That's not Kiss. That's not Foreigner. And, that's certainly not Yes. I made videos on this.
Right.
And then they released Mirror to the Sky. And I'm going, that's Yes. That's Yes. I'm sorry. That's
Surprise.
Freaking Yes. And then that was last year. This year we get John Anderson's True, and that's Yes. Mm-hmm. So we've gotten 2 Yes albums. John Anderson even has stated that the band Geeks is his Yes. That's how he explains the band. Right. This is my Yes. Yeah. And he says, right now, this is where I want to be. I don't want to get back together with Steve. I'm right where I want to be. But I'm going to do a video comparing the 2 albums. It's going to be a longer video because, boy, those are the 2 gems from prog. Now, maybe Scott Lade over at the Prog Corner would disagree because he's into prog, and I haven't heard some of the greatest prog bands this year. I'm sure I haven't. But from just as a general classic rock fan, Scott, these are, 2 major prog albums, in my humble opinion. I haven't been over to his channel to see what he thinks of John Anderson. Maybe I did. I think he did like John Anderson's album. I say he's got respect for Mirror to the Sky. He doesn't rank it as high as me. Now it's all coming back to me. So,
I can see right now that I'm going to need to get the Isle of Wight with the Who, because everybody's loving that album. Everybody in the chat keeps bringing it up.
Really?
I was at the Cow Palace show. I had tickets to see. I know.
I was there with your dad.
I know you.
Hey, Mazzy was there that night too. So Mazzy and I have shared a room, and we've never met.
I had tickets. I had tickets to see Metallica and Guns N' Roses both together at the Cow Palace, and I let my youngest daughter talk me out of those damn tickets for her and her friend. And I'm really sorry she got away.
You can take me down now, Royce. You guys are talking, and everybody can just see me. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Pressure's off. Oh,
yeah, the pressure is off. Yeah.
The lights, they were so hot.
Drag us back, Chris.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, so anybody got anything they want to show now? I didn't say enough about this, I think. I have a collection of albums from the Fillmore East. And every chance I get, I may have about 12 albums now. Not a whole lot. This is live at the Fillmore East, the Who.
Yeah, I'd love to get my hands on that.
Yeah. This is a 3-album set right here. And it's got like everything, okay? Summertime
now this
Blues.
is with Moon and Entwistle, all of these, right?
Oh yeah. This is
okay, good.
Back in the 60s and stuff,
Cool.
Like Summertime Blues, Fortune Teller, Tattoo, Little Billy, I Can't Explain, Happy Jack, Relax, I'm a Boy, A Quick One While He's Away, My Way, Come On Everybody, Shaking All Over, Boris the Spider. Then we have My Generation Part 1, My Generation Part 2. Now keep in mind, My Generation Part 1 is over 17 minutes long, and My Generation Part 2 is over 16 minutes long. Okay.
So they basically did a half-hour jam on
over a half hour on My Generation. Well, can
Cool.
you imagine? Can you imagine that? Okay. Yeah, and you and I know. I mean, I've done shows, more than one show on the Fillmore East, including my
Oh,
own
yeah.
Fillmore East collection. And they had the best acoustics. They were just basically made for live performances, and everybody played there. And a lot of those everything pretty much got recorded, but it was years and years later, sometimes 30, 40 years before they finally put an album out. So
Yeah.
that whole story fascinates me about the Fillmore, well, East and West. Okay.
Yeah, no, some amazing shows too, and bands in their prime.
Amazing.
You know?
Yeah. Right. Odds and Sods. Yeah, that's my latest acquisition, guys. Odds and Sods. Just found that a week or so ago in Paso Robles.
Silly.
Angela, are you leaving us? Goodbye, Angela. Thanks for joining.
Night, Angela.
Always love seeing you here.
Night.
Thank you.
Sweet dreams. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
She's
a guy
probably
writing
sleeping out. That was about half an hour ago. You're a little bit behind in the chat.
I think I know. Steve
Anybody
kind of
have
hits the
ball and
nail on
chain?
the. Steve's hitting the nail on the head here. A guy writing and composing 2 rock operas, musical genius.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I am
Agreed.
probably. Okay, I'm gonna have to.
That's his greatest strength is his songwriting.
Yeah. No,
he's a great musician, but man, it's his songwriting. Yeah.
He wrote a lot of albums. I mean, a lot of songs.
I consider him one of the great songwriters in rock. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. Wrote a ton of stuff. Okay,
I liked his double album of his. He did an album back in the '80s where he just released a lot of his demos, and I loved that album by him.
Now I think the Who actually did Tommy, the rock opera, when they were at Woodstock, didn't they? Or am I getting that confused?
Don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember what they covered.
Okay.
It's been, decades since I've actually watched that whole film from beginning to end.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I have it, but I usually just fast forward to whoever I'm in the mood for,
Yeah. Okay. So, hey guys, do we have any closing statements here? I think we're going to be probably signing off here pretty quick. I think we're running out of Who energy.
Well, anybody have ball and chain?
No.
2 record set, highly limited pressing, bonus hits vinyl. I haven't even broken the seal on this one. Matter of fact, I haven't even put it in my catalog yet. It was just, geez.
Sitting there.
Here, put me up.
Yeah, it's okay. You're on your way.
Okay,
You're on your
there
way.
you go. All right, this one. Anybody seen this one?
No.
Yeah, the album cover
looks
looks familiar. Yeah,
I haven't seen that album cover. No.
I don't remember it.
Cool. Yeah, the first studio album since 2006 from the Who.
Oh, okay. That's probably why I don't.
Set.
I may have seen it when it came out, and because it looks familiar, but I'm not aware of what's on it or anything.
Yeah. All this music must fade. Ball and chain. I don't want to get wise. Detour. Beads on the string. Hero ground zero. Street song. I'll be back. Breaking the news. Rockin' in rage. And she rocked my world. Didn't open that one. I got music to listen to. And of course, we're all kind of familiar with this. Alternate.
Okay.
Quadrophenia.
Right on.
2 record set made in Europe. Soundtrack by the Who.
Hey, Steve Robertson from Canada. Good to see you, Steve.
Yep.
Hi, Steve.
All right. Well, I got records open and listen to. You can make me small again. Thanks.
All
How
right.
about that?
Anybody else?
Nope.
Well, let me just say let me just say this, okay, guys. We went through a really long Led Zeppelin series. You know, we went through all the studio albums. We covered How the West Was Won. We covered the BBC sessions, and then we took a break. We'd done a lot of Led Zeppelin in a row. Hard to get away from Led Zeppelin. And next week we are going to do the Mothership 4-album compilation of Led Zeppelin. So we're going to do the Mothership, and then maybe not the very following week, but sometime soon we'll be doing Celebration Day. And then we'll go from there. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. We're going to go back to Led Zeppelin next week. I, for one, am looking forward to it. And I've really enjoyed covering The Who. I thought this was a fun show to do.
Yes.
And same with last week, The Doors. I'm a huge Doors fan. Seriously. I've been a fan of The Doors since I first heard them. And that would have been when they made their first song in my teen years, okay? So big fan of that, big fan of The Doors, big fan of The Who. We'll be going in and out. There's some more not Zeppelin, but there's some more Sabbath stuff I want to do. I saw Black Sabbath in concert in 1971 at the Las Vegas Convention Center. I never heard anything so heavy in my life, you know. I mean, it was almost it was almost overwhelming. I mean, it was like, I don't know what I was on. I can't remember, or a combination of things, but that show was just almost overwhelming. I'm telling you right now. Never experienced anything quite like it. And then in 1970, I think it was 4, I saw Black Sabbath at the California Jam at the Ontario Speedway in Ontario, California. Okay. We had the Eagles there. We had Deep Purple. We had Black Sabbath. So many bands, you know. And it was a huge thing at the time, you know. It was kind of like the next best thing to Woodstock. So anyway, I've seen Sabbath twice, never got to see Led Zeppelin. Breaks my heart. I was living right in Long Beach when they played the Long Beach Arena, which became part of the How the West Was Won, Long Beach Arena, as well as the Los Angeles Forum. We're all part of the filming and recording of How the West Was Won. But anyway, and I had seen the Rolling Stones the very year 1972 at the Long Beach Arena that Zeppelin played. So I don't know what happened there, man. That was a real break in something. I don't know.
Well, go watch Led Zeppelin February 7th.
There you go.
I'm going to, believe me. 32 pills were found in Keith's stomach, to be exact. Okay,
yep.
So, and what was the dose?
They look like horse pills.
And what we know that we know 32 wasn't the proper dose. Wow, that's amazing. He must have really been fighting some alcoholism to take 32. That's sad. I had a family member die, you know, from that, drinking too much, too often, developed diabetes, didn't take care of that.
Too much of a good thing is too much.
Yeah. Personally, I don't care for destroying guitars on stage. I have a guitar destroyed on stage story. Now, which one was it? The Monterey Pop when Hendrix lit his guitar on fire with lighter fluid?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm over at a friend of mine's house. His actual name is Michael Jackson. Okay, but he doesn't know how to moonwalk or anything like I do. He just he actually owned a muffler shop, and then he became a real estate agent. So anyway, I'm over at Michael's house.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I'm over at Michael's house, and he introduced me to the guy that's going to be renting this, what he calls a little unit in the back. And we're standing there talking, and we start talking about music. And the guy goes, "Hey, remember that festival where Hendrix threw the guitar out in the audience, and some guy jumped up out of the crowd and grabbed it with both hands?" I go, "Yes, I've seen that a dozen times." He goes, "That was me." And as I was trying to keep my composure and not go crazy wanting it, I said, "You still have it?" He goes, yes, I do. I go, can I see it? He goes, not right now. But oh man, I mean, he has that guitar, man. This guy's.
You should have asked him. Well, when?
Yeah.
Well, he goes, well, it's
Yeah,
still in the
when?
place. He said it's still in the place I'm moving out of down in Grover Beach, which is 20-minute ride, 25-minute ride from here. Yeah, I should have hired a limo. We'd gone down and seen it, and on the way down, I'd have tried to figure out how I could have gotten it from him, but
Right.
that probably would have never worked out. But can you imagine getting your hands on that guitar?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah.
I wouldn't have worked this Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyway,
you just start playing it and waiting for the magic to come out,
Yeah. And wondering, that's like a friend of mine.
It's like a freaking magic wand to me, man.
A friend of mine I was taking guitar lessons from. I was telling him a story. This guy went over to Eddie Van Halen's house, and there was Eddie Van Halen's rig, his guitar, his amp, his sound, right? And he goes,
Nice.
"Oh my God, you mind if I play?" And the guy goes, Eddie Van Halen goes, "No, go ahead." And so I'm telling this story to my guitar instructor. So he starts playing, and he just realized instantly it doesn't sound anything like Eddie Van Halen, with or without his rig. And my instructor couldn't stop laughing at that story. The guy expected to pick it up and sound like Eddie.
Yeah. Okay. And his magic beans, right?
Yeah. Good luck with that. So anyway, anybody else got a little story to tell here before we sign off? I'm trying to get laughing out loud. So true, Keith Moon. Yeah. Trying to get to the bottom of the chat. I don't like to leave any chat messages on the table here. And I am Hop Frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had
That's
our good buddy Dave Hop Frog here tonight. Glad to see him here. And Adam Finley, Kate as usual. Kiss is kiss. Yes, they are. Eric Schultz, Dreaming from the Waist. Musically sounds like something from
Don't forget, hit that
Quadrophenia.
like button.
Yes, please, folks, please hit the like, the thumbs up button. And let me say one more thing. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. It just helps the show grow. We're all looking for a certain amount of subscribers every week. I'm a little off my pace and have been for a couple of weeks. I've been so busy working, I haven't been able to put out as much content as I'd like to. But anyway, I wanted to make sure
subscribership has been down in general.
Okay.
For a lot of channels, Royce. So,
well, right now I'm 4 subscribers below my average. Okay.
yeah.
But I was like 14 or 16 below my average, and then all of a sudden, people started subscribing again, which was cool. So anyway, subscribe. Yeah, and I'm supposed to mention this. I do have a membership you can join. No obligation there. It's different from subscribing. It's just there's so many things I need, for the show itself. I'd like to have a really good green screen that really works, where I could put cool stuff up behind me, and just improve everything. You have a membership, you're paying a couple of dollars a month. It all goes to improving the show, making it better. So anyway, so we do have a membership.
I'm a member.
You can just hit, there's a join button you can hit, pay a few dollars and just like help support the show. No obligation there. I feel almost uncomfortable asking.
Yeah.
I do have some.
But you know what's cool about being a member, Royce, is when you make comments, you get a little star, and your star changes color the longer you're there. I've got a gold star now, man.
Yeah. I've got what I think is some really good shows on there that are members only. You only see them if you're a member. And as soon as I get a couple more on some of the ones that I've had members only, I'll start dropping them down to my pre-recorded video, put them on. But I don't want to drop them all down until I'd like to put up 2 new shows for members only before I drop one of the older ones down for everybody to see. So I'm going to work on that this week too. So anyway, yeah, we're working our way through the chat, and so let me ask you guys a question, and I know Michael's answer on this one, but between the show we did last week, The Doors, and tonight's show, The Who, which band do you prefer? Not just the panel, but in the chat, who do you prefer mostly for your musical taste? The Doors or The Who?
The Doors.
The Doors,
Yep,
okay.
Doors.
Eric Schultz said Doors. Novice Nick
Absolutely.
and Chris both said Doors.
Easy.
I tend to like the Doors better myself, although I love the Who. The Doors were just more, they were just more heavy for me, and that was when I was really into the heavy music, you know. So I'd have to go Doors too. I love those songs when the music's over, turn out the lights, the end. I mean, just haunting, you know, haunting shows, you know.
That record store day.
And I'll compare the Who's Next to any Doors album and watch it crush it.
Okay.
Oh, individual.
So
albums,
in
like,
case
overall?
you guys didn't know what my choice was by Royce's hint,
I wish Michael
is
would
first
do
of all,
a
I
bang
love the
bash.
Doors. I love the Doors. I love their hits. I had one album from them. I felt that their hits were much greater than some of the filler in the things, but I would still put them in my top 50 bands, and that's not they're not being demoted or anything. That's still,
I know.
there's another 200 bands behind them that are classic rock icons.
That's my
all right.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I love the Doors,
Right, Ruby, Lisa?
but I'll pick the Who over the Doors every time. Yeah.
Right.
All right, Royce, I don't mean to do this, but I got to run out on you, buddy.
Okay, Chris.
I
No
think
worries.
we all
No
appreciate
worries,
everybody.
my man. Yeah, thank
Call it
you.
an
Thank you for
evening.
being
Thanks again
here.
for the opportunity. I
Had a
appreciate
blast, Chris. Thanks.
Yeah, had a
See ya
blast. Thank
next
you.
week.
Thank you.
it.
Mothership.
Yes.
Okay.
Take care.
Mothership.
Stay safe, and We'll see you next week.
Next week,
Yes.
Mothership.
Yes.
I don't have that. That's one of the few I don't have.
That's a streaming.
And if you get your wife, girlfriend, or child to hit the like button too on their phone, which I know
That's
that's
right.
that's a lot to ask. I'll show all 4 albums.
And everybody has an Uncle George.
oh yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
forget
great-
Uncle
great.
George.
All right. See you, gentlemen. You guys take
Okay.
care.
All right, Chris.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, Chris. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go through the last of the chat. Joseph Blues right here. Kate's right here. The Doors. The Doors. Right on. Okay, Eric Schultz, Royce. I didn't say the Doors, but the Who. Okay. But the Who. Okay.
I have an ally.
I'm not saying, for me, it's not overwhelming. It's not like I'm choosing between Led Zeppelin and Michael Jackson. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's much
between the
it's
two
much,
bands.
yeah, it's
Oh, I
much
won't.
closer than that. But if you have to pick one, and I
which
decided
two
we
albums?
did.
I got to be honest. My problem with the Doors is no bass player. Okay. And I'm a bassist. And
what was it, Manzarek? He did a really good job playing bass with one hand.
yes, yeah. But if I wanted, Led Zeppelin did the same freaking thing, but also had one of the greatest bassists. So,
I can totally understand your reasons, 100%.
Yeah.
The question, Michael, was Deserted Island album between the Doors and the Who. Which one? One album.
Who's next? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though it's so overplayed, it's one of those albums that you go, I've heard it so often, then you put it on. Because I found a copy myself, All right.
There you go.
And you play it and you go, oh, I didn't notice that before. It's music you can still grab new stuff out of. And that, to the very best rock stuff, always can do that.
Which album was that?
Oh, sure.
Who's next?
Who's next?
The Doors. That's who's next.
Steve Robertson, the Who. Now, and I just want to say that I love both. I mean, I don't have have 9 Who albums for nothing. And whenever I see them, used, I buy them.
Yeah.
These are all used except for the Fillmore Fillmore East one, and it's from '68, but it's newer made than that. But anyway,
Yeah.
so anyway, guys, thanks for such a fun show. I want to
Absolutely.
thank my panel. I want to thank the chat. I really appreciate all the new people that showed up in the chat. I mean, we've got Winslow Red Cross here. There's been people. There's been people all night here that I hadn't seen before. Our good friend Joseph Blue came back.
Well,
Eric
welcome
Phelps,
all, really,
Steve
seriously,
Robinson,
and come back.
Yeah, come on back. Come on back.
Because it's
y'all.
going to
Yeah,
get better
that's
and
all
better, folks. You know?
Y'all come back now here. So yeah, no, it's going to get better and better. That's exactly right. So anyway, thank you all so much. I really appreciate everybody being here. And that's what's happening in Royce's world today. And we'll see you all next week, if not sooner. Good night, guys.
Good night, folks.
Thanks.
Nice, folks.
All right, Royce, I'm going to head out.